Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seahawks Recap Show, episode number 5 for news of the week with your host, Ryan Koki. And we've made it. We've made it, football fans. The first game of the 2023-2024 regular season is concluded. Concluded last night, and it was the Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Lions came out on top 21-20, and oh, football is back. Even though I didn't get to watch the game, even though I didn't watch the game, I heard it was amazing. Honestly, I'm so happy that football is now back. And this leads into the name of the episode, The Quest for Super Bowl 58. Yes, I said 58 has begun. Before we get started with today's episode, if I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And if you want to see any future content from me, please consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on any future uploads. And this channel will be uploading a lot more content over the course of this season. So you probably don't want to miss out on that if you like people that ramble on about football. And if you could share this with either Seahawks buddies or potentially just football fans in general, I would really appreciate it. That helps get more traffic to the channel and potentially build up the community that we have here already. But that's enough rambling for now. Let's get into the news of the week right now, shall we? And here we go. The first thing I wanted to talk about on my list for the topics I will be discussing is Cooper Kupp is injured and is out for week 1. According to Sean McVay, Kupp will be ruled out for week 1 due to a hamstring injury. More specifically, Sean McVay said he's dealing with some soft tissue stuff with his hamstring. Worst case scenario, this injury could land him on injury reserve, which means he'll miss at least 4 games. My thoughts. Now, this is going to be very biased, but as a Seahawks fan, I'm just glad we don't have to face him. I'm really glad that he's not playing in this game because I don't know if you know this, but anyone in the NFC West will tell you, I would at least assume so, that they don't like facing the Rams in Cooper Kupp because Cooper Kupp can just destroy your entire defense, especially the secondary. There's a reason why he is a Super Bowl champion. There is a reason why he is a highly touted player. I believe, off the top of my head, I didn't put his stats down, but I believe he had like what 98 receptions or something, and he's just a really dependable target. He had a lot of yards, he had a lot of touchdowns, and he's just a menace on the field. He is an elite wide receiver, and he is paid like one. That's my thoughts as a Seahawks fan, but from a unbiased opinion about football, I don't like seeing players get hurt. I really don't. I think that honestly, if I could have my way, if this was like a, if this wasn't real life and this was a video game, I would play with injuries off because I don't like seeing players get hurt. I don't like um, having teams not at their full strength, playing in games that are crucial. And, it just really sucks from an entertainment perspective, not seeing both teams at their full peak capacity. That's why I want him to not miss significant time. Cooper Kupp is a really great wide receiver, and I like watching him play, even though when he plays Seahawks, he makes me have high blood pressure, but that's besides the point. I really hope that he gets back to the field as quickly as he can without rushing himself back. And I hope that all the teams out there will have some good good luck on the injury front and not be as banged up. But that is a pipe dream for the NFL if I've ever heard one. But next on the list, sticking in the NFC West. Well, I don't like this. It's Nick Bosa's new contract. Oh, why? Oh, why? I don't like this, man. I don't like Nick Bosa. He's a great player and he's one of the best players at the position in defense on the edge. I don't like him getting a new contract because now he's going to be sticking around for the next 5 years. That means I'll have to deal with him terrorizing my team for the next 5 years. Uh, but anyways, let's discuss it, shall we? 2019, his rookie season, he played 16 games. He had 27 tackles, solo tackles, 15 assisted tackles, 9 sacks, 1 forced fumble. His ELC was $33.55 million for the next 4 years. He signed that in 2019 to now, which is 2023. He was ended his contract at age 26, and his new contract, $170 million for 5 years. Let me just say, from a person that doesn't play sports, from a person that is just a normal average Joe trying to get by, this amount of money is insane. The amount of money that these guys make, and I understand that these guys put their health at risk. These guys put their lives at risk, frankly, because this sport is so physical and could have long lasting impacts on their health if they're not careful. And don't get me wrong, when I say this, these guys deserve every penny they're getting. They do. They just do. With the sport that they play, they just do. Any professional athlete that gets paid an exorbitant amount of money to play, uh, especially when injury is involved and, trying to put your physical health on the line, they deserve every penny of their contract. But I'm looking at the money. It's 170 million, but 122.5 million of that is guaranteed. He signed that from 2023 to 2029. So he'll be 32 by the end of that contract. And he does deserve it. So let's talk about his 2020 stats, shall we? He played 2 games, had 2 solo tackles, 3 assisted tackles, no sacks, and 1 forced fumble. The reason why he only played 2 games in 2022 was that he tore his ACL. He tore his left ACL in week 2 versus the New York Jets in quarter 1. And when you tear your ACL, it could be a career-ending injury. It could not. You could come back and be completely fine. And that's a testament to all of the medical staff that's in the NFL, all of the doctors, all the people that make that kind of stuff happen. Even the players themselves, going to rehab and getting themselves in shape, still to be playing like beasts after brutal injuries like that is just incredible. But let's talk about 2021. He came back off that ACL and he kind of lit the world a little bit on fire, didn't he? He played in all 17 games that year, had 38 solo tackles, 12 assisted tackles, 15.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. That man was a menace. But let's talk about the most recent season, 2022. He played 16 games, had 37 solo tackles, 10 assisted tackles, 18.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. And this is exactly why he is now the highest paid defensive player in the league. This contract makes Nick Bosa the highest defensive player in the league in NFL history. This is per Ian Rappaport. Looking at just on paper, he's only had one season where he's missed significant time. And honestly, this guy, from a playing perspective, if you've ever watched Nick Bosa play, which I have because he's in my division, he is a monster. Him and his brother Joey are just they're not human. Watching defensive players play and watching how good a lot of them are, you understand why they get paid this amount of money. Um, uh, well, Nick, you deserve this money, man. Good for you for putting in the work and uh, getting getting what you deserve. But I'm not happy with you sticking in my division for the next 5 years, but I guess I'll just have to deal with that. But anyways, enough of me rambling, or I get more heated about this contract. All right. The next order of business is a little bit of I wouldn't say drama, but it's something I really wanted to talk about. Caleb Williams, future for the NFL draft this year, 2024. Well, Caleb Williams, for those of you who don't watch college football, I don't watch college football as much as I should, but I did a little bit of research. And this guy, Caleb, man, from what I've heard from the media and things like that, he could potentially be a number one overall pick right now for this draft. And he's being compared to like the likes of Patrick Mahomes already in his career, and he hasn't even played his last year in college. So, but let's talk about Carl Williams. Carl Williams is Caleb Williams's father, and he spoke on his son potentially being drafted first overall uh, in the NFL. He says, if there is no good situation, the truth is he can come back to school. He currently plays for USC. Carl adds on by saying he's almost better off not being drafted than being drafted first. The way the system is constructed, you can go to the worst possible situation, the worst possible team, and therefore the worst possible organization in the league. And here's my thoughts on that. I agree. I do agree with Carl Williams in the sense of, yes, getting the first overall pick in the draft means your team was shambolic and it's either a rebuilding team or the team just didn't do as well as expected. But let's go through, shall we? Let's go through an example that I want to compare him to. Let's talk about Joe Burrow for Cincinnati. And remember, the Bengals before Joe Burrow, they were one of the worst run organizations in the league. That's why they got the first overall pick in 2020, and they drafted a franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. And this is what I'm talking about. A one player, and especially a quarterback, could change the whole outlook of a franchise. So let's just say, hypothetically, since Arizona is tanking, I'm going to put Caleb Williams as an Arizona Cardinal. Look at what the Bengals did. They drafted Jamar Chase, one of his former teammates in wide receiver. They had Tyler Boyd. They had T. Higgins. They have Joe Mixon. They have a decent offensive line. They have a good defense. They've built around Joe Burrow. And that's what I think the Cardinals can do. So even though they're the person that gets the first overall pick, the first team that gets the first overall pick might be garbage off the offset, you can see if you can build around a player and they can completely change the outlook of a franchise. And I wonder if Caleb Williams can become Arizona's franchise QB and turn that franchise around just like Joe Burrow has. Only time will tell, and we'll see if he decides to join the 2024 draft. And he says that he wants to. He wants to be drafted first overall. And he's also setting a lofty expectation of himself, trying to be the best player in the world at football. He wants to beat Tom Brady's records. Lofty heights there. But again, you always have to have lofty heights when you're playing in the NFL or potentially going to be drafted in the NFL. But let's talk about Joe Burrow for a sec. Joe Burrow just signed a new contract yesterday. He is now the highest paid quarterback in the league at the age of 26. Or no, sorry, he's the highest paid player in NFL history. My bad. And he's only 26. He had a $275 million deal for the next 5 years. And if I can remember correctly, I believe 216 million of that is guaranteed. And this just shows you that if Caleb Williams can be like a Joe Burrow, or even half of what Joe Burrow has been for the Bengals, the future could look bright for Arizona. Just saying. The last thing on the list I wanted to talk about was something that I really wanted to weigh in on for a little bit now, for a long time now, actually. And this is Sean Payton. Is Sean Payton being too harsh on the Broncos? Well, let's look at it, shall we? Sean Payton. He's had 25 years of experience as a head coach. 16 of that years of experience has been in the NFL. With the Saints, he's been there from 2006 to 2021, took a year off, and is now the Broncos head coach. And let's just look at some of his stats. With the Saints, he had a winning record of 152 and 89 losses and 0 ties. He won Super Bowl 44 in 2010. So he has the stats to back it up. He has a very big fire under him right now because he wants his teams to succeed. He, like any other coach in the league, he wants his team to succeed. He wants his team to improve. But let's talk about some of the comments he's made over the last little bit. And I'll weigh in with my thoughts. So, Sean Payton on September 6th said this to Russell Wilson via the score. Will you stop kissing all the babies? You're not running for office. Now, that was the quote, but let me put this in a way that people will understand. I don't believe I really think that Sean Payton, really what he was saying there was that Russell Wilson needs to focus. He needs to stop worrying about his public image right now. Because right now, a lot of people dislike him. A lot of people think Russell Wilson's corny, and he's trying to save his public image by doing a bunch of different things and trying to be in the public eye so that people will respect him better and repair his reputation. But Sean Payton's not after that. Sean Payton's job and his only job is to make sure that the Broncos don't repeat 2022. He wants them to be a playoff team. He has lofty expectations for this team, and it starts with the quarterback. Russell Wilson is paid by the Broncos a lot of money, and it's a contract that they might not be able to get out of. So he's making sure, and it might be a little harsh about what he's saying about you're not running for office. Stop being so much in the spotlight. Stop caring about your public image so much. But again, he needs his players to be focused because I think that's exactly what happened in 2022. They weren't as focused, and it really shows on the field. And Sean Payton is lighting a fire under his guys. That is what Sean Payton does. As a coach, I think with all his comments recently, you're seeing inside the mind of Sean Payton. He will be a hard coach. He won't coddle you. He does not take failure lightly. He will run you through a wall because if you lose a game, he'll make sure that you don't want to lose another game. He will light a fire under you until you start improving. And I think starting off with the quarterback, yes, quarterback and coach need to be on the same page. But I think this is sending a message. He's taking the franchise's top QB and saying, no one is safe from being criticized. Let me just say that. And I think that's what he's saying there. He's not afraid to criticize his players. Do I think it's the right approach? Maybe not, but if it gets it done, if he comes out and, they have a winning record, the Broncos this year, and they can push for the playoffs, then it worked. Let's talk about something that happened this offseason on July 27th. Sean Payton's comments on Nathaniel Hackett's job during the 2022 season and his handling of the Broncos. This was one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. He later apologized to Nathaniel Hackett, saying, that was a little harsh to say. He didn't have his coaching hat on. He didn't have his public relations hat on, and he said some things from the heart. But again, like I said before, this is the kind of coach you are seeing out of Sean Payton. He doesn't pull punches. And I think he means the words he says. I honestly do. I really think that he was looking at that team and going, it was a disaster. I'm not letting that happen again under my watch. And honestly, I like that. I don't like the way he's going about it by saying that, by throwing shade, but he's a winning coach. He knows what it takes to win, and that's why he's won a Super Bowl. That's why he's had a winning record with the Saints. He is taking that kind of approach and trying to light a fire under his guys so that they can perform better. The only problem I have with his comments are that now he's painting a huge target on himself. Sean Payton is now saying and signifying to the rest of the NFL that we're coming for you. And if he doesn't perform, if the team does not make the playoffs, like Sean Payton said, he said in the interview with USA Today that he wants this team to be a playoff team. He will be very upset if this team isn't a playoff team. So he's painted a big, lofty expectation for himself. And right off the hop, I wouldn't have done that as a head coach. Because although it can show confidence to some people, and it might seem like it's confidence, I call it arrogance. He's being very arrogant with his words, because if this backfires on him, if they don't win, if they miss the playoffs, let's say they go 8-10 or even worse, and they miss the playoffs, does Sean Payton have a job next year? because I know if he goes 8-10 and he has a losing record, the amount of criticism and scrutiny he is going to get from not only possibly the organization of the Broncos itself, but also the media. Oh man, they will burn him to the ground. And this is the problem when you come out and you say exactly what's on your mind. It can be shown as confidence, but if you don't deliver on your promises, or you say something bad and it backfires on you, then you could be out of a job, because the NFL overall is a performance based business. So this season, man, for the Broncos will be extremely interesting. I can't wait to see how that turns out. But anyways, that is it for episode number 5 of the news of the week on the Seahawks recap show. Again, if you liked it, please like the video. Please consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on any future uploads, because now that football season is underway, there will be a lot more content hopefully coming your way. And if you'd like, could you share it with your friends? Share it with your Seahawks friends. Share it with just your buddies that like football, because you can just tell them, oh, there's a guy I found on the internet that just likes rambling about football. So if you are into that, this place is for you. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Football is back. I am so excited. And I will see you on Monday for the Seahawk recap show game recap of the Seahawks week 1 game versus the Rams on September 10th. This is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk recap show signing off. Go Hawks, go.